Hello everyone and welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're going to be talking about the final installment of David Gordon Green's Halloween trilogy, the fourth one in this, timeline events in the Halloween franchise. And of course, like I said, it is the finale. It is the last one. It is marketed as the ends, the final battle between Laurie Strode and Michael Myers. It is here, and boy, was it quite the disappointment. And I don't want to truly hate on this movie. I think this movie has its merits and it makes a lot of decisions that's going to be a tough pill for a lot of people to swallow. But I think in some other world it could have worked, and I'll explain what I would have done if I were even to go in this direction. But overall, this one's a mixed bag, guys. And so, of course, we are going to be talking about spoilers for Halloween Ends. So if you have not seen it and you are a fan of this franchise, definitely go check it out. But if you are not going to see it because you don't care and you want to just hear the spoilers, sure, why not? I don't think this is a necessary must-watch. Plus, it's going to be on Peacock for free tomorrow, so you don't need to run out to theaters for this one if you don't want to. So let's just dive into this thing. And to start off with, I will say that movies like this are the reason why I really like doing spoiler reviews over doing non-spoiler ones, because this movie is actually very hard to talk about without getting to spoilers, because the main premise and the main plot of this movie is inherently a spoiler. So this movie is not at all what the trailers market it to be. It is not the final battle between Laurie Strode and Michael Myers. It's that for the last 15 minutes, but the rest of the movie honestly feels like a reboot. It feels like a new iteration in a franchise that's kind of moving into a new direction. And I think that is going to be the thing that's a hard pill to swallow for a lot of people. So this movie follows mainly Allyson and her new boyfriend Corey. And the opening scene of this movie follows Corey, who is a babysitter, babysitting this one kid. And they're watching the thing, they're doing some games, or they're playing hide and seek, and all of a sudden things get really creepy. There's a lot of tension in this sequence. Very Halloween, it's a classic scene where a babysitter is watching a kid. There's something going on. You don't know exactly what is going on. You think that there's somebody around the corner sneaking around. There's a focus on this brownie with a knife next to it. And of course, you see it later on and the knife is now gone. You later see the knife, on the staircase. Somebody is in this house messing around. And eventually, the babysitter gets locked in a room, and it turns out it's just a kid messing with him. He locks him in this room, and now the babysitter's freaking out because of all this, paranoia around the town about Michael Myers, because, you are living in Haddonfield. All these stories that have happened over the past 40 years worth of story. And so he has that paranoia. He's freaking out. He's trying to kick the door down, and he does right as the parents are coming home, and he kicks the door open and hits the kid, and the kid goes and falls 3 stories down and dies. The way he's spotted on the ground honestly is kind of funny. I was kind of dying laughing. At the screening that I went to, I didn't have popcorn. I saw this opening scene, that fall happened and that death happened, and I was just like, okay, this is going to be a popcorn movie. This is going to be dumb fun. So I left, grabbed popcorn during the whole, Halloween intro thing, and I came back, and then the rest of the movie followed. And it wasn't what I wanted it to be, because, Halloween Kills is in its own rights a messy movie, and I don't really enjoy that movie too much, but I rewatched it today before I did my review because I just wanted to kind of regather my thoughts. And honestly, this movie is so disappointing and bad for me because it actually made Halloween Kills a better movie. I actually now enjoy Halloween Kills, even though the characters were so dumb and stupid, but the kills in that movie, the Halloween, the Michael Myers aspect of it was so good. But this entire movie follows this Corey kid as he kind of becomes the new Michael Myers. He's now, he's all damaged from killing this kid. He's seen as a monster from the town. You have this idea where, the town needs some sort of evil to look at, and now that Michael Myers has been gone for a few years, you don't know where he is. They've kind of labeled him as this new monster, so everybody is treating him poorly. And then he goes to the sewers and finds Michael Myers there and kind of looks into his eyes, and Michael Myers looks back into Corey's eyes, and you get to see a flash of all the different, things that he had done. For some reason, it's like the evil is transferring from Michael Myers to Corey because story, I don't know, because plot, it doesn't really... I don't know, because then you follow Corey throughout the entire first 2 acts of this movie, honestly, even into the 3rd act of this film, as he's going around killing people. And it's just... I don't want to see that. This movie was marketed as, the final battle between Laurie and Michael Myers, and you don't get that. Michael Myers is in this movie for maybe 10 minutes, and it's very disappointing in terms of how this movie was marketed, and especially how the last movie ended, and especially how the 2018 one ended, and how this whole thing has been building up to this final battle, and it just felt extremely unnecessary. And the idea of the Halloween franchise becoming an anthology is not a new concept. Of course, Season of the Witch was that sort of thing. It did not have Michael Myers in it at all, and it tried to do something new. It's just that movie wasn't great on its own rights, but I don't hate that idea. If you're going to pass off the mantle to somebody else, not necessarily passing off the mantle to a new Michael Myers, but passing it off to a new killer in this world that is already so damaged from Michael Myers, it's not a bad idea. When this character was wearing his own mask in that one scene with the doctor and they're being killed by Michael Myers and Corey as kind of a team, they're kind of tag teaming it, I really enjoyed that sequence, and I wish the rest of the movie continued with that thing. Like I said, it's going to be a hard pill to swallow because you're not following Michael Myers the entire time. You're watching this new character, and it's just like, it's going to be a big leap for a lot of people. And I tried to make that leap. I was like, okay, you know what? I see what they're doing here. They're trying to set up this new character, and I think their setup, the first act for Corey's character, was interesting. I liked how the town kind of turned on him. I liked his relationship with Allyson at first. I liked how, he was becoming damaged and this evil was consuming him. I like all these ideas, but I kind of wish this final confrontation with Michael and Laurie happened in Halloween Kills, and the whole 15 minutes of this movie, the last 15 minutes, happen at the end of Halloween Kills rather than the end of this movie. Just imagine a world with me for a second where, we got, of course, the original Halloween exactly how it is, and of course we got the 2018 Halloween exactly how it is. Don't change anything like that. And if anything, maybe those are the only two movies in the franchise and you never make a sequel. But if you were to make another movie, you have, ideas in each of these that are inherently good. I do like the 2018 version because it has the idea that Laurie has been waiting for Michael Myers to come out this entire time. It's kind of building up to this, and when he finally gets out, it's, that confrontation. It's that idea that Laurie was this, doomsday prepper, and because she's so worried about Michael coming back for her and her family, she ends up pushing away her family, leading them into more danger. That's a great idea, and it's executed very well in that film. And then you have Halloween Kills, this idea of this mob mentality of Haddonfield being terrorized by being haunted by the events of Michael Myers, all the killings that he had done, and just all the terrors that he has instilled upon this town. And you have this mob mentality type of thing that you kind of see within a few characters like Tommy Doyle, like the cop in the first movie and now in this second movie. And so you have all these different ideas. In that movie, this mob mentality thing was presented. It was a bit heavy-handed and wasn't executed well, but it at least was a good idea, and you got a lot of grades in Michael Myers Kills. And then in this movie, it has the idea of having this evil taking a new shape into a new killer, and you have that idea. Again, it's not inherently a bad idea. It's just executed so poorly, and it doesn't follow through with the promise of this series, which is Laurie Strode and Michael Myers. So maybe instead you have Halloween and Halloween 2018 exactly how it was, like I said, but then Halloween Kills is pretty much like it was. Maybe you execute the whole mob mentality a little bit better. Maybe you focus a little bit more on Tommy Doyle, and you focus more on the cop character played by Will Patton, because I do like his character. And then, you have, Laurie in the hospital. She's trying to recover, and she gets out of the hospital. She actually does something in that movie, and even though she's already weakened, she's so dead set on getting to Michael before this mob does, because she is the only one who can do it. And then you play out the end of this movie exactly how it is, because that fight that they had was intense. I like the moment where Michael sat up, really fast when she had stabbed him. It's a great moment. The way she pins him down with the knives, his hands are pinned down, and then she slits his throat. It's a lot of great, individual moments inside of this movie. I'll also say, even when it comes to the ending of this movie and that final confrontation, I do think the direction of this movie and the finality of this movie does feel very anticlimactic, because for one, the battle is, fun enough. It is intense. It does have its moments, but it's not really directed too well. I think the first Halloween movie, the 2018 one, David Gordon Green did a really good job with that. And of course, he did a great job with kill sequences in the last movie. But when you have this buildup, especially to, take off the mask and unmask Michael Myers, or when you first see him in these sewers in this movie, it's just like, okay, we're doing a creepy, suspenseful scene, and then also you cut and you just see his face. It's not like it builds to anything like a big moment. When Laurie finally does take off his mask, you don't necessarily see, I don't want to see a close-up of his face. I don't need that necessarily, but even just like a close-up of his eyes, or just kind of what they did with Joker in that deleted scene for the Batman, how it just kind of like shows him out of focus, or it shows him like a close-up of his eyes but never his entire face, just keeping the mystery of him but also still getting that personal look into his eyes, like Laurie looking into his soul, finally having that moment of like finality between these characters, because it just felt like she pinned him down and killed him. And like I said, it was a fun enough sequence. The battle was intense, but it didn't feel like it had that finality that you want for a final installment of a franchise. But if you place that at the end of Halloween Kills, and then you end the franchise there, and you have the whole thing of the mob bringing Michael down to the metal compactor crusher thing, and it's just like that whole thing happens, all this stuff is decent. And then maybe a few years later, you introduce an idea, okay, we're going to make another Halloween movie. Michael Myers is dead, but this is like the spirit of him is still kind of around, in terms of like how the town is still haunted by all the events that have happened. Not his actual ghost walking around, killing people or whatever. That sounds terrible. But in terms of like the idea of him is still around, that paranoia is still around, and this new character who thought he was being chased by Michael Myers a few years ago, now, you know, he does exactly what he does, and now he's kind of becoming the new shape of evil, and you kind of make an anthology, and he wears his own mask, and he does his own thing, and maybe he's tied into the characters like Laurie and Allyson, so you still have some characters from the old franchise followed through into a new thing, and you market it that way, maybe some more audience members would be on board with that idea, because when you have this movie and you present it as one thing, and you get something completely different, that giant pill you have to swallow is already difficult to begin with, but now it becomes impossible. And this movie is honestly pretty boring. You don't really get any kills. The last movie has so many kills, and that is what makes it, at least in the very least, entertaining to watch. I can watch Halloween Kills like I did earlier today, and I still had fun with it, surprisingly, because I really didn't like it the first time I saw it, and this is only the second time I'd ever seen it. I did enjoy it. The 2018 one, of course, had that Laurie Strode and Michael Myers confrontation that was really well done, and this one has that final confrontation. I just wish it was condensed into only 2 movies rather than 3 movies, because they only had so many stories to tell, and they tried to do a whole new idea, a whole new rebooted idea in this last film that felt rushed, and just it didn't vibe with, you know, the promise of this franchise. So that is my review of Halloween Ends. A lot of missed opportunities here. I don't think the ideas presented in this are inherently bad ideas, but when you present it in this way, it goes from a tough pill to swallow to an impossible pill to swallow, especially for fans of the franchise. So what did you think of Halloween Ends? Did you vibe with it? I can see some people, you know, enjoying and liking that they try to do something different with this film. I see some people online saying that they did enjoy this movie, and I don't think it's necessarily bad. It's just not what it was promised whatsoever, and it is a very disappointing experience to watch. So what did you guys think about it? Comment down below, and if you enjoyed this video and want to see more reviews just like this, I'm doing my 13 Days of Halloween series on the channel. I reviewed Terrifier 2, The Midnight Club, and of course I reviewed this, and Werewolf by Nights is also on the channel, so definitely subscribe to see more reviews on the channel. Leave a like, subscribe, and I hope to see you all in my next one.